Welcome to the Human Design Collective podcast, where we explore this system as a map of our unique potential, from the mundane to the mystical. If you'd like to dive deeper into your design, we invite you to check out our ongoing foundation courses and workshop offerings at courses.humandesigncollective.com. Our next Living Your Design workshop will begin on May 29th, followed by Rave ABCs on July 16th. We are also offering the Modern Love workshop again on July 29th, exploring relational mechanics in the current age. For more information and to register, please visit courses.humandesigncollective.com. Nisarg is a 2-4 reflector and a certified human design analyst and teacher with a rich background in energy therapies and practices, including time spent with Osho and Poona. Nisarg's initiation into human design began in 1999 with a reading from Ra Uru Hu, followed by extensive training under Ra's guidance. With over 21 years of experimentation in the human design system, Nisarg now shares her wisdom and experience through live teachings and training sessions worldwide. In part 2 of today's podcast, we continue our conversation with Nisarg, discussing the process of experimentation and deconditioning. We delve into what happens at a Reflector Immersion Retreat, examining human design as an energetic map and our relationship to it. We revisit the concept of space and the quality of waiting and noticing and how to navigate life's pressures. We also touch on teaching in person versus online and future opportunities for reflector immersions. Nisarg shares the possibility of moving from the not-self to no-self, and it's an incredible relief in a world that is often obsessed with identity.
Yeah, it seems like one of the real gifts of human design and this process that you're describing of taking the space for ourselves, or in the context of a reflector retreat, is to come back to a baseline of our own frequency and
Absolutely, yeah.
what we are as a point of reference, so that when we go back into life and the world and inevitably whatever's going to happen, that we at least have that point of reference in ourselves.
That's really beautiful how you summed it up, all my trouble in one, 2 sentences. I called my own process in a way, over the years, a lost and found process. Yeah, I started off being lost most of the time, like 95%, and then found sometimes. In order to be able to be found, I needed that reference point, what you just put out, which I got. No? And then I'm lost again. And then, oh my God, I'm lost again. Okay, what to do? I'm lost again. And slowly, it's really a matter of time. I feel like that so many people are so impatient in a way, they learn everything really fast and start teaching it and telling and giving readings and everything. And it takes time, I mean, the knowledge itself, if somebody likes studying, is not such a big deal.
Yeah.
Not really. It's not,
Yeah.
I mean, but to actually let it work for you, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't rush it. That's another thing that I really got. It's a mutative process. It's a birthing process, yeah? It's like a baby is 9 months in the womb and there's nothing you can do about it until the time for the birth is coming, and that's it,
Yeah.
And if you get impatient and you get crazy and you're like, well, tough shit. I mean,
Timing is the timing.
Timing is the timing, yeah. And the timing is not in our hands, in the whole thing, in our own process also, yeah. The only thing that we can contribute is our availability, actually, yeah. In my case, it was a real determination also. I'm in the line 2, determination. When it's called, then that's it. No? And I'm not going to get sidetracked.
There are so many things coming to me from what you said, but one piece that I'm coming back to is what you mentioned about how scary it can be. And probably there's a version of this for all types.
Yeah.
But how scary it can be to really let go. I mean, to really find the reference point, whatever that's going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then there's something so beautiful to me that I can see about the prospect of reflectors being able to come together for a week or for a month to, in a way, go through that process to not be totally alone. I mean, to be, to be without that conditioning, but not totally alone.
Yeah.
As very, very special.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, in a way, I also feel like that is something that would be much more needed in human design, because the way Ra set up, it's all about, everybody being trained to become an analyst or a teacher.
Yeah.
But it's, I think for every type, it's so important to have in a way a support system for it also. No? When I realized the value of these reflector retreats, I actually, right from the beginning, thought there needs to be a retreat for every type. I mean, projector retreats and manifestor retreats and generator retreats, because when I do the living your designs and I have the different types and I set them up, I make it very clear in a way how, to create this space so that they can really be experiencing themselves in their frequency as the group that they are, and others who are a different type can also experience the particular frequency and how it differs to our frequency. Because to me, it is so important to kind of get that. And because energy is my field, that was always my interest, how it can be, how I can support people connecting. And then I realized it's just that, just projectors together, and you are two projectors, so you can really support each other in that sense. Or manifestors together, like it must be the same as the reflectors, I mean, whatever the frequency is of the type becomes intensified, amplified. So it's more easy to recognize it and to connect with it. Maybe it goes in that direction, the development slowly. Okay, there's been now a long phase of online, but my feeling is there is a thirst in people. And I saw it in the Human Design Festival where I was, how important such gatherings are. Where what I experienced with Ra when I was live traveling with him, that I understood just being in the field is supporting my process, not being in the field. Yeah.
I can viscerally feel from the way you're describing it, the piece that you're naming about a reflector being able to have a reference point of being part of the program as something very different than amplifying all the different people that they're filtering. In those gatherings, then, once that initial kind of baggage or luggage starts to fall away, and I'm sure it's probably fascinating for reflectors to get to witness other reflectors as well, in a way to get to see some kind of creature similar to themselves in some way.
In the last reflector retreat, there were 3 reflectors who have the same birthday, Vessel of Love, which was now on the 21st. And this group, they created a WhatsApp group afterwards where they stayed connected, which I think is a fantastic idea. Yeah. And so because of this birthday, there was a lot of connecting again. And through that, it also took me back how it was when we were there together. I don't know if I can say it in that way, to see others, because it's almost as if there is no others. And it's funny, we are all the same, and there is no other.
There's no one. You were saying that. There's no one.
Just so. It just feels so good. It feels so good, But of course, what also everybody over the days becomes aware, when one of the reflectors still comes back in with some kind of luggage idea. Of course, because it's inevitable, It's strangely American reflectors, not that so many came so far, but I don't know, Americans generally seem to have a stronger conditioning. I don't know if I can say it like that. But altogether, everybody becomes more and more sensitive. And, another thing, there is no discussing ever happening between reflectors. Nothing is ever being discussed. It's like the last one, when the week was over, we were in Corfu and it was late in the year. There was hardly any people there anymore. So we went to whatever restaurant or the beach we were mostly, and we'd just be like happy kids, actually. I mean, kids, what they don't discuss. serious matters, I mean,
Yes.
they're not interested in politics or anything, it's like, we just laugh a lot, and I don't know, we're just happy idiots. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very mental.
Yeah, not at all, I mean,
Or productive.
not at all productive, no. But it's also true when after that 1 week we actually come out and then we stay, those who don't leave immediately, which I suggest, to gently go back into the world of energy and still be together. And then maybe the second evening, I usually then reserve a space for us in one of my favorite restaurants there, where I am anyway known, and with a little separate space also. I mean, we are rocking that place. We are rocking that place. And we don't care about anybody there. We are just having so much fun. And that's it, But it's literally, I mean, the whole place is being kind of like lifted up, no? Because you can see how usually the people come and they're on holiday even, but then they're sitting there and they're a little bit serious, and couples often sit together and don't look very happy because now they're on holiday, so they eat and drink something. And anyway, and then we are there having, I mean, we are just having such a blast when it's, and they start looking. And then, and then somehow it affects the entire restaurant in the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but not that we care about that. Nobody's doing anything. It's just, we're just together, so. Yeah, talking about it, I can see I miss not having one this year, it seems. Yeah.
You had mentioned something else that happens in that space in regards to profile.
Yeah.
And even a recognition of the difference between left angle and right angle. Could you say more about that?
Yeah, because what I started doing is to set up the reflector, the circle, when we sit together, according to profile. Because when I work with the other types, I create a setup according to type. And then I look a little bit also that there is a flow also with certain definitions, so that there is a nice energetic flow there. And since we don't have a definition, I figured I try it out with the profile, and I was surprised to see how much is revealed through that actually. And of course, the personal and the transpersonal, even more than in the other groups where I have transpersonal, personal everywhere, but I have a mix of all the different types, in the living and design. But because there is nothing else, basically, and for the reflector, the profile is quite helpful to understand, because that's something that doesn't change. No? I mean, a reflector, our design changes all the time, but the profile doesn't change. So, yeah, I felt like it can be very clearly experienced, the difference between the two sides. No? And we have on the one side, we have the personal, on the other side, we have the transpersonal. It's so obvious how the transpersonal is actually, they're really, and the energy is going over there, the energy is going out. It's going towards somebody, no? And the personal ones, they would be the ones more giggling with themselves, no? A different frequency altogether, actually. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you have noticed that yourself, no? And then another thing that I also like to play with is the design part of the profiles. Yeah. I mean, I like to play with energy because it's an energy map, and it's like, what can we experience through it? And to have basically like starting with line 1, body 2, 3 until 6, to sit in a circle like that, just playing around with different variations, and as a way of connecting more deeply what actually this means, yeah, on the personality side and on the body side.
It does seem like such a different education,
Yeah.
a different way of being educated than what has happened over the last 10 years, probably, with everything being so digital.
I guess simply because of my background with Osho and in the mystery school and all these years of working with energy and being a teacher for energy and a trainer, I had such a playground in Poona for that, for so many years. that this is basically what, once it was clear to me, this is an energy map. And it's just a map. And the map is not the territory. No? But a map can be used to kind of like navigate, to get to know the territory, can be used. No? And I always, right from the beginning, saw it as that. No? And saw the danger also, noticed the danger. Very early on, I noticed the danger of human design in the sense that to get stuck with the map, to think the map is it. No? Right? So instead of using the map, people end up being used by the map. I feel like, and that I see a lot happening. And that's also why, to learn a map, you can go fast, to understand what that and that and that means. If you like to study, you can do that very fast. No? It's not such a rocket science thing. But then you have this kind of like map on top of your head, on top of all the other stuff. And then it can just become another burden, and another piece of luggage that you have to lug around with you instead of experiencing what it's like, that this map can help you get freed of all this kind of unnecessary luggage. Right from the beginning, every level that I have taught and teach, when I still teach, is always in a way, that I feel like whatever it is, it needs to become alive in the room. Doesn't matter, whatever the lines are, the profiles are, whatever the different circuitries are, and when somebody in the room has it, and then to let the whole thing become alive so everybody can taste it. And that is actually also what gives me joy. Then it cannot never be boring in a way. I'm not just rattling down information. It's always alive and always directly connected with who the person actually is. Always immediately connected. And then so beautiful to see it come alive in the person. Maybe one of the things I can share is, because I used to be an energy reader before, with Osho in the mystery school. And so I gave sessions, reading people's chakras, energy bodies. I would kind of look into the past lives. I would look into the karmic patterns. I would look into the childhood stuff. I was just a reader, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I was very, very at home in the field of energy and had a lot of experience in it. And, my natural sensitivity, which at that time I didn't know I was a reflector, because it's anyway natural for a reflector to be sensitive to energy. That for, over the years, I was even a metaphysical surgeon. Over the years, I became more and more refined in it, this work, so that I could really detect the finest nuances of energies. So when this map was introduced to me, one of the ways how I checked the validity of it was for me to ask the people when they came for a reading, for an energy reading to me, if they can give me their data, because I am right now studying something new, and it would be a help for me. I didn't tell them anything about human design. Most people had no problem with it. And then I felt like, okay, I'm curious now to see, there is the map. Yeah. So this is basically what the map suggests, what the energy is like. And there is the person that I'm reading the energy of. And now I was kind of like, I think a year long, I was checking back. And I trusted my own sensitivity, what I pick up more than any map, any new map, And it was amazing for me. That's really how I discovered, however good I was before, there were kind of gray zones. Without human design, I could not have understood, particularly in the emotional, in the emotional area. And also that's a map that shows me how different it works for people to be met so that they can even open up. Because with Osho, there was always a lot of emotional release work, and it was like quite dramatic. But I also understood that everybody was treated in the same way. And a lot of it was a hammering. And on the surface, everybody learned how to do a good catharsis, but some deeper feelings were pushed down maybe even more through it. And then human design helped me in a way, particularly the emotional center is my favorite center, because It's my son, and I have 7 activations there, so naturally. I am an expert in that field of, understanding the finest different nuances, and in that way being able also to help emotional people to connect, because they're so scared of their emotions. They're so cut off. It's unbelievable. And then they learn in human design, they get a reading. Okay, so you have to wait and sleep over it, and then the wave, and then wait for the clarity. But to actually connect, and then they need to be ready to freak out and howl and, let go of whatever wave, all the waves that got cut and repressed. No? And then to connect with the deeper seated hurt that happened for everybody. No? So that needs such a delicate approach. Yeah. And so different from what I learned with Osho in a way in the therapies. They were like hammering on the rock. And then to support how to connect with each other, even with the generators. It's not so easy asking questions. Also, the sacral is so freaked out by most it's so compressed. No? If you hammer a question like this, the sacral goes like that, and the mind learns now, say, ridiculous,
Right.
So it needs such a delicate approach in a way to reconnect with the freaked out energies that everybody is having inside, no? So it can feel safe enough to show itself what it is, because that's what actually it's about, how whoever is hidden in there can slowly reveal itself to me and surprise me, possibly.
Yeah, I also look at human design as predominantly as an energetic map. And I have been seeing what you're describing, where it's kind of subtle in terms of entering into an experiment and being given a map that can be as powerful as the human design system and the map can be. But then it often quickly becomes something that the mind just grabs onto again, like you're describing, and just lays over the other stuff that we've got going on. And then we start performing to it. We try to get it right, or we've decided we're going to be radical, or we're going to go hardcore. But it's like, well, wait a minute, it's almost like we've reversed it or we flipped it on some way. And it's like, is the process more of one of, like you've been describing, kind of letting go and offloading things perhaps more than adding back in? How would you describe it? Or how do we work with this map as we're entering into an experiment so that we don't try to eat it, so to speak, or mistake it for the territory?
I mean, I think a big thing is what I mentioned already earlier for everybody, not only for reflectors, is space. I think in my own experience, when I watch anybody, they are almost everybody moves through life under enormous pressure and stress, basically. Tuck, 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 tuck. No? And it's not only for emotional people. I feel like slowing down is such a big deal, like when I said creating space in a way, it's like space, yeah. Because so that you can even begin to notice anything, space is needed. One of the things that I mentioned last time when we talked is I found it very helpful to be given the information of the open centers and those not self-survival strategies. That immediately was a great help for me, that I could use, because it's such a simple thing. For me, basically, the simplicity of human design is really only that. It can show me who I am. It gives me a key how I can get in contact with who I am, and it shows me who I am not, who I thought I was, and who I'm feeding continuously, and who I defend and who I whatever, And so it's about how to reverse this process from being identified with who I'm not to back to who I really am. That's basically, for me, in a nutshell, what human design is offering. No? And in a way is simple, for everybody. No? And from that point of view, this strategy and authority is the entry point. And in the beginning, it's almost unnatural. You are both projectors. I imagine it also, to then all of a sudden to be told, you can see so clearly and much more than anybody else what would be the right thing to do right now and how to do it, and with your superpower vision. And you cannot understand how that idiot doesn't see that. He's doing it completely off, and you can see it. And you're not supposed to tell them, you're not supposed to get involved in any kind of way. I mean, I imagine to get this information in the beginning, it seems totally unnatural. It was totally unnatural for me to begin with, to just shut up, to just be there and feel like an idiot, and completely out of place. And yet, I don't know how you have experienced it for yourself, no? Just sticking with this kind of like, this waiting mode, yeah? And waiting, to me, waiting is not something, okay, I'm waiting. How long, much longer do I have to wait, I mean, I waited already 1 day, 2 days, 1 hour, oh my God, That's how I experience it in myself. A quality of waiting that is very vibrant, very alive. It's actually just being present. It's almost being present and open to feel, to hear, to notice in which way life would like me to move now or say something or whatever, And I feel like that is something that for everybody needs to just start with oneself and to be interested in finding out how, again and again, how can I get in contact with this, what did you call it, John? Point of reference, no?
Yeah, like a baseline frequency point of reference. Yeah.
Yeah, baseline. Yeah. To be interested in that in a way. And in my experience, because of course I have not only worked with reflectors in all these years, but more than with reflectors, I've worked with just about every other type in every other country in the world. And so I've had the privilege in a way to meet other types that kind of like stayed with me for some time. So I could actually observe their process also and to watch their transformation, to be able to participate in their transformational process. And then each time we would meet for the next part, which officially it was like education. Officially I was teaching this, that, and the other. Each time we met, it was actually more than the teaching. It was this space and time together, noticing the shifts and the changes and also sharing about it. I'm amazed how it works if somebody would just give it, not to kind of broadcast it all the time. I mean, honestly, when I go look on Facebook now with all these different human design Facebook groups, it's overwhelming. And then they create these fantastic things now, and throw out their knowledge. And I feel there is no connection. And I feel like, give it some time just for yourself in a way. Get interested in yourself alone to find out who the fuck you are, and how you can recognize when you are home. And then from that place, I think it becomes easier and easier because it's so delicious when we are home, isn't it? I mean, there is nothing more beautiful than that. And then who would care then if anybody would even come? But then one becomes really attractive. And then one sees, oh my God, this person is really, I would love to meet this person. This person looks like they really have something important to share with me. No? And to trust that it can work in that way. In the beginning, it just needs a little bit of time and actually stopping trying to all the time interfere, to initiate stuff, try to make life happening. And instead of allowing this kind of not easy transition time of feeling maybe utterly lost and not knowing. And beginning to notice, for example, now with me, now I notice when I am lost. I'm not in particular looking at any of those open centers anymore specifically. I did this in the beginning. Even though in some moments, of course, it comes to me now, like, it's my open ego that likes to puff itself up a little bit again. Interesting. Or the open throat, wanting attention and stuff. But it's more like a musician. I would feel, now I'm out of sync. I'm not home anymore. So whatever I do, I say, whatever is anyway kind of like,
Yeah.
not worth anything, not worth my time, not worth the time, whatever it is. And then I can just stop. I just stop and okay, I just need to check out again and chill and wait a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky that I have, for the first time here in Salzburg, I'm with a group of people. It formed itself naturally in a way. And I have a wonderful projector woman who is organizing the different meetings. And in between the teachings, for those who actually live in Salzburg, we call it Stammtisch. I don't even know what that would be like. We would meet in between, just hanging out together, and everybody brings something to eat and potluck and stuff and to share. And now it's been 1 year that I'm with these people. Yeah. And even I begin to notice it before they notice the shifts and the changes. Yeah. And it's so lovely. And then I can reflect it also. And then it's almost sometimes like a shock, but it's true. But still, energetically, I begin to notice the shifts. And then I totally support them in don't be in a hurry. It's like there's nothing you need to do. It's nothing you need to do. And even the stuff that I'm teaching you now, don't believe it. Just use it lightly as a possibility for awareness. Watch it. That maybe some moments you say something or you hear something and all of a sudden you remember the middle of it. That's what she meant when she told us about it, Now, I just encourage them to trust that everything and for everybody in their own time. The main work, I feel like what I'm doing when I'm teaching is take the pressure away. Take that pressure away, because everybody is so damaged and they beat themselves up all the time, Now I'm still, oh my God, I'm still, yeah. Yeah, take it easy. I mean, I don't know. And so I'm really happy that I have this group again, because it's a joy for me to be able to observe transformation when it happens and to see the fine moments of movements towards home. John, I mean, when I think now, I mean, I'm all over the place,
What you're saying very much resonates. I'm with you. And it's like a breath of fresh air, honestly. I can totally relate. We're sitting here as projectors and we're talking a lot about reflectors, but I feel like there's something, maybe because of the reflector design and the reflector process, there's something in it for everybody. There's something that we can learn, the other types can learn from the reflector experience and what you've seen and what you've witnessed and what you've done in these retreats. And so I think the lessons in there, some of them apply across the board. Like, how can they not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And maybe one of the things that I can also say about, of course, every teacher is different. I mean, first of all, every type, whatever, as a teacher would be teaching differently. No? But then, of course, within the type, again, there's so many different variations. I guess what I noticed observing myself when I am in my, call it teaching, transmitting, because I can so completely be one. Very often I just feel even just my presence, in the meeting and me being in a resonance with the essence of the person, because that's what I'm interested in. I am not interested in going around reflecting the madness of the world. Not at all. Yeah. It's not what we are here for. It's just very damaging to us. And it's a misunderstanding also in the teaching with human design. But, when it's the right moment for me to be with somebody and they come to me because they come to me as somebody who can give them something, then I basically, and I don't know how it's happening in a way that I, in my own stillness and connectedness, go in a resonance with or synchronicity with the essence of the person in front of me. And through that, something happens to the person. Something opens up. they themselves fall a little bit deeper into who they are. And along the way, sometimes stuff is kind of like rattling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I literally, even in the Living Your Designs, I even support people like that. It's really close, and there is all this fear around, and there is all this, and then I basically just being there like a mirror, you know. It doesn't judge, it has
Mm-hmm.
no opinion about what's good, or also no agenda that anything should happen. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just that something is happening, something is being touched that usually doesn't get touched in the normal world, you know. The deepest, innermost core is protected. No? Often just tears are falling. No? A lot of healing is happening in a very simple kind of a way of being there. And that's what I like actually most about the whole work. When I even want to call it work, you know, that this possibility, because the teaching itself, I try to give myself as much space and time as possible, not to rush it, so that the teaching itself can be the healing already, and the possibility to think a little bit deeper in contact and touch home base like that. Yeah. You know, Marianne, she's doing these immersions, and in many ways, I feel like when I do a living or design, it is a little bit like that. You know, what is it really that I enjoy most about my working with people, if I can call it work, is I'm only interested in, and I really love reflecting their beauty. And every single person is beautiful. And that's the thing. I can see it. And that's what I'm interested in reflecting. And when that happens, oh my God, it's such a healing. It's so, I mean, how the frequency in the room changes. And it reminded me that when I was doing this kind of like sessions in Poona, and I was all sorts of different sessions, readings, and, you know, working dramatic work with childhood and this and that. In all of that, I had a kind of a fantasy or a longing inside to create a kind of a session, and I would call it flowering. I would like to be able in a session to basically read, being an energy reader, the particular flower that they are born to be. And for some reason, the word flower came to me, and flowering, because I love flowers and I love beauty and the colors. Yeah, it was a kind of a secret wish inside. And I can now, being the reflector that I am, and all of these years of actually letting go of and more just being easily comfortable in my skin, I can see that it is often happening now when I work. It is often happening, and then in that moment, that is then also a meeting beyond a true connection, so deep in a way, you know. When we meet in the essence of who we are, it's transcendent. It's so delicious, yeah, it's so precious, no? And it's enough, yeah. It gives strength to then from that place to go out, and whatever anybody has to deal with is none of my business. But somehow everything is easier when the connection is there, you know. I mean, the fact that we are living now in these crazy times where so many people are freaking out and in total panic and fear, and left, right, and center killing each other still, you know, it's unbelievable. And people are so afraid of their money and their this and their that. And, you know, I say to myself, you know, if we are born in this time, and if, talking to myself, you know, and if I'm made the way I'm made, and I'm thrown into this time, it means whatever I am needs to be enough. Whatever I am needs to be enough. You know, as long as I'm connected to face whatever is happening here. And I feel like that's true for everybody. And that human design can can help to connect. Because in the end, that's the bottom line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to connect, to be who you are, and then to face the world, with all of you. That's it. So I feel like it doesn't matter what type we are. We are equipped exactly to live right now till we die and to face whatever is happening, and we can face it more easily when we are connected and not, freaked out in our mind that is kind of like trying to protect our not self-survival system, because that's basically what the mind is doing. So, yeah.
Well, that's such a lovely way to put it. I really relate to that. It's really nourishing to hear you share what you've learned in all these years, and also just in getting to hear from someone who's been teaching in the body.
I mean, that's basically my main learning has been happening through that, of course, yeah. I don't want to devalue the online possibilities. I think it's fantastic that it's available. It makes it accessible to many more people, I mean, one lives here and one lives there. And my own experience, the little experience that I have had, I have not yet taught. I mean, Linda has stopped asking me, from IHDS. She asked me in the beginning, she would love me to be one of the teachers that is teaching online in IHDS, but I said, I'm not enjoying it. I had a few online gatherings for reflectors, which is not a teaching. We are just together for 1 hour. I call it bathing in the frequency. And it works, which was a surprise for me. It actually works. And right now I'm in contact with Mariah, who has been organizing them for me, to have another one. Yeah. I would do more in that way. If there would be somebody who basically says, okay, Nisarg, anytime you want, there is I'm putting it on, there is the Zoom room and stuff, because on my own, I'm not even interested in learning it, It's like either happening or not happening. And for myself, I don't need it, but I can see that it can be it's very helpful for people. Yeah. No, one time I did a kind of a living your design online. I did something like that, and we arranged that we have at least then we meet a few times, and then we have one time a live meeting, which didn't happen in the end. It still was helpful, but I think maybe for me, it would work best if it's a mix. If it's people that I already am connected with, maybe.
Yeah.
And then we have some parts online. Or maybe I'm just having a block because I'm so totally non-understanding this technology. Yeah. It's like I'm afraid of all of that, And when I see how people, and they put this and they put that, and then have this wonderful graphics and all of that, and then a link is being made, and then it gets sent around. And I thought I would not even know how to begin, So I'm very impressed by people who know how to use this technology and how to do it. But it hasn't arrived on my doorstep yet in that way. Yeah. But for example, even being with you, I can feel, that the time we spend together, the connection, I can feel it, it's, I wouldn't be able even to say anything if I would not feel there is a connection.
Well, we so appreciate you taking the time to connect with us. We've learned a lot. And I think it's such a gift for people to be able to hear frequency through someone's voice and through their presence. And it's not the same as being live, but there is something that can be felt and received. And I think it will be very nourishing for people to get to hear from you.
I hope so. I mean, I had different organizers over the years because, like I said, on my own, I cannot do anything. So, but I was always lucky that somebody always popped up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, I thought, okay, now I have the perfect person. Now we can start setting something up that is going to be really, and it can grow, and it's over the next moment. And I had to learn as a reflector also so much. This is also was so important, this letting go. It's like, there's nothing, for a reflector, there is nothing inside of us that is made to hold anything together. to make anything happen anyway, in any kind of a way,
Yes.
even though that's what reflectors are trained to do, and they try, and a lot of them do. And I can see it also how they do it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
But it has happened over the years that obviously life has thought that this is worthwhile. And it's also true that Ra initiated me into teaching, because I don't know if I said it, but one time in Italy, I asked him, because I was really supporting my boyfriend. I was so happy. He was so happy with doing this human design. And I was just supporting him, but I was in everything, And I never thought in all the courses and all the time with Ra that I would ever teach it. It was never on my mind. I was in it for myself. No? And so one time I asked him when he was in, and I said, so where do you see me in this whole human design thing, First he said, I see you all the time. And that was more like jokingly said, And then he said, you need to become a teacher, Nisarg. That's really your thing. And that was it. I mean, it's like the way he as a manifester would impact me in certain moments always. And he would just go in. And I would never have thought to do that on my own. And then I did. I was lucky. It was at a time when I could do all the courses with him. And live. And live with him and live in order. I mean, basically, I feel so good with myself that in a way, I'm equally happy pottering around in my kitchen,
Yes.
or going on my bicycle downtown and wander around anonymously and connect with those little ones that kind of also potter around like me. I mean, life is anyway so full, and I don't know. So it's like, whatever happen, I mean, of course, I still need to also make money, but at the same time, I notice when it happens, that I have a chance to basically share whatever I can share. Definitely, I feel it's helpful for the people, but it's also good for me. I feel, it's also good for me. It's also good for me because in a sense, it's my own flowering on my cross. And it's really beautiful to be able to connect with people then in such a setting and in such an honest, deep, authentic way. So from the point of view, I guess it'll continue on until my time comes to check out. But the big thing is this continuous letting go. Yeah. One of the things that I noticed also in the course of my many, many years of deconditioning process, over time, I noticed how my fists started opening. Because in the beginning, it was still trying to catch a hold, trying to kind of like, now this feels good. I'm gonna, now let's work on that. Now let's get something done. And then slowly, it's almost like the power went out from my hands to try to hold anything and to notice the moment. It still kicks in sometimes, naturally, But then it's just a moment, and it's so painful. The holding is so painful. It's such a pressure in my chest. That,
Yes.
What was it? What you tried to, I forgot.
For me, it's even better when someone from the outside says, what about that thing, from yesterday? Or what are you doing about this, about that? And I can relate to a certain kind of pain with that sometimes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can imagine with your design, you also cannot repeat what you said, I mean, something is coming now and that's it. Take it or leave it. And if somebody said, you said something yesterday that was...
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
Or even 5 minutes ago, I didn't get that sentence. Can you repeat it?
It seems like there's a process of trust in all of this for us to be able to relax and trust in ourselves, or learn what that means to trust in ourselves. And then from that, maybe begin to trust more in life. And then that releases some tension, or it can let us, like I said, relax.
I think trust is a byproduct because, a lot of the spiritual teachings are teaching that. And that's what I also learned in a way, like with Osho. No? But how to get there, there's still a doing involved. In some way, you need to do something. Because I feel like trust is a byproduct of being connected with who you are in a way. Because the moment we are connected truly, we are automatically part and parcel of a greater whole where we are being anyway moved. So I feel like unless we get to experience what it feels like in a way to be home, trust can just also be another thing that is like a carrot on the horizon that, all the spiritual teachers are teaching anyway. No? Mm. And that was such a big thing for me, that all these spiritual teachings that I was also kind of like in it, how they also in some way create a pressure. Yeah, I feel like trust is a byproduct. It's not something we can cultivate, because that would be again the old way, Mm-hmm. I mean, where it was all about learning and cultivating something. Mm. It's almost like, I don't know, love, gratitude, trust. These are all things that cannot be done. That is something that can only somehow come to us. Because I can read there's so many incredible concepts, so good ones, like, and then you follow this step by step by step, and then you somehow get someplace. No? Mm-hmm. And that was for me in a way the big thing, because of course my whole past with Osho the deal was to become enlightened, even though I have no idea what that means, that, or nirvana, or transcend something, or, work on yourself, in some way. And that the human design is kind of like, yeah, I stopped working on myself. It's incredible, I mean, I'm not working on myself anymore. And even in those phases when it was really difficult, because it is this transition time where the old is kind of like going away, the new is not yet there. And that's in a way the tricky thing for the people when they get into human design. Are you ready for that shift to happen? And there is nothing you can do about it, You just stick with the process. That's it. You just stick with the process. That's it. And the more you think you need to do something about it, the more you get in the way, and it's not going to work, and it's not going to happen. And yeah, that was a big surprise for me, that from all these years of meditating and therapy and working on myself, to all of a sudden being offered something that is so idiotically simple in a certain way, as I don't need to chant any mantras. I don't need to put my body in difficult positions and nothing like that. That it's actually exactly the opposite. It's almost like a stop of all of that. Not feeding that old way in any kind of way anymore. And that is so difficult for the mind in the beginning. It's really, really hard. It's really, really hard, I mean, frequency, that's what it is.
Yes.
And the frequency helps it. The frequency helps it. And if there is a possibility to be in the frequency, to be together with somebody who is already connected to the frequency. Like what helped me with Ra was that he was in his frequency. That's what I felt with him. No? And the fact that I was meeting somebody who was in his frequency was helping me, supporting me to get more easily into my own frequency. It was not that I was now following his frequency.
Right.
It's just how I noticed it, how it worked, So that's what I feel like. If there is a possibility to be with people, hang out with people that are already more clean and more clear in their frequency and what comes out, yeah, it corrects something in the other. I noticed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like how it seems to be mysteriously working in a way through patterns. If the pattern is correct in one person, And what is life? When we think about what is life, it's a mixture of many different patterns put together as a person. I mean, the one channel, the 515, that's it. That's the understanding circuitry. From there, the patterning of life takes place. And so if the pattern, it's funny that I'm talking about pattern now, because I think tomorrow the sun is moving in the gate 17.
Mm-hmm.
Still have line 6, the 20, the 25, but maybe it's already shifting, because already pattern 17, 18. No? Yeah, that's what my experience is. It's something, something is being corrected. That's why, I mean, even Ra was saying it. I mean, the best teachers are those teachers that are actually living what they are teaching. And then that is actually, more important, it seems, than the knowledge itself that you can get from a book also. No? Like, yeah, you don't need to pay a lot of money for that. Yeah, this correcting, that's what it is. Yeah, it just seems to work like that. Yeah. Anyway, from my side, I want to say I'm also incredibly happy spending this time with you, meeting you, feeling you, connecting with you. I can also feel the difference between really now so clearly the strategic mind in you and your open mind. It's so incredible, huh? It's so incredible. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's been really beautiful for me to connect with you, to feel you. So much of what you've said just resonates with such truth. And maybe this is what you're talking about with frequency. When I come in contact with that, it almost always makes me cry. It just is
being touched.
It's like it's just an extra layer of relief.
I start crying any moment now. One of you, one of you has the gate 59, huh?
I do.
One of you, the gate 59, you. Yeah, because I could see that is also your connection, the 659. Such a beautiful connection. And I also have the 6, of course. And but it's also the individuality, the strong individuality. I mean, in individuality, I feel like being touched. Yeah. I mean, when I'm really deeply touched, also tears are coming. Yeah. It comes through music, poetry, beauty,
Yes.
Just being touched, being touched in the core. These tears I call they are the nectar of the soul. I find them so precious.
Yeah.
And always healing, still healing. The word comes in a way, and it doesn't stop. And creating an opening for some gifts. I mean, what's happening in the individuality is that, that, these moments of an opening, that something new can come in from, something is totally new, something fresh. And for you, it happens often, I imagine, that very precious. Yeah. And in that way, I can imagine also that you give a lot to people when you work with them. It's like very empowering and initiating change, transformation. Because both of you have this strong individuality.
Yes.
Actually, And I imagine now, because you only have this one channel, John, and now Neptune is going to go on the gate 25. It'll be so interesting to see what's going to happen to you, in which way that will affect, it will affect you. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's powerful stuff, no? I mean, we have had anyway the nodes in 51, the moon node, no?
Yes.
In 51, you must have felt that also, no? Like,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And for me also, I'm going to miss the fact that I won't have any complete open reflector design.
Right.
It's rare, In this year, I had quite a few days, which is the best for a reflector when it happened. But now with Neptune moving into the gate 25, because I have the 51, I'm gonna be defined in this way for a long time. Yeah. So it'll be interesting also for me to see what happens.
Do you have a reference point for that for yourself? what that particular channel feels like?
Well, yeah, I do in a way because it's part of my design, my lunar design anyway, no? Because I have Venus and Moon in 51. So this is anyway a very powerful activation. So it's part of my lunar design. And I notice that whenever that definition is happening, I really like it. I feel indestructible.
Strong.
I feel like you don't like how I look. You don't like how I talk. Yeah.
Too bad.
Okay.
Too bad for you.
Sorry. I'm not here to please you. I'm sorry. We both might become even more courageous
Right.
in the near future.
Yeah.
But I could also imagine that, Neptune is the dissolver also, no? Like is dissolving patterns also, no? Could also be that those aspects in the 25 where there is still a readiness for compromising your innocence in a way, that could be somehow, that Neptune could work on that, whatever might be still there sometimes as a possibility.
Yeah.
Dissolve now. Because it's a very powerful channel. I mean, it's basically, wow, it's so powerful. No? And to use this, I mean, what I see in this channel is literally like where who you are and what you say and do, needs to be one. That the willpower is only basically supporting your truth in the moment, with no agenda. No agenda, no? What is innocence? Is no agenda,
I think of it as being, just pure being. Or if you wanted to say more, it's just about being myself.
Yeah. Such an incredible channel. Wow.
Maybe Neptune will bring in like a different possibility for surrender, like surrender to the spirit, or to let go and receive the spirit in some different way.
Yeah. Anyway, it'll be interesting because it's going to be there a long time. And so I'm also really curious, in which way you might be shocked more again, and also in which way you might shock people more into their being, no? Because that's basically the initiation. Osho had this channel.
Yeah.
Ra had this channel. I've been initiated by 2 men in my life with this channel. Very powerful in my life. Yeah, both of them initiated me to my being. Wow. Absolutely.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So now I'm meeting you, John, and I'm curious in which way we might stay connected more.
Well, I've loved this. This has been great. And I have to say that when we first met, one of the main things that I felt in our meeting was just the frequency, your frequency, and kind of an embodiment of a very unique frequency that you bring. And it's really come across.
Wow.
So I feel touched as well.
Lovely. I feel also touched. I think we all touched each other. Yeah.
Well, I hope it won't be the last that we connect with you. And I imagine that when people hear this, I would suspect there will be people who will want to reach out with you or want to find ways to connect with you.
And I'm already worried because then what I'm going to say to them.
So I'm sorry in advance.
I need somebody
you're welcome.
to organize me.
So I'm glad you have a website because maybe that can be an interface.
Absolutely. And also the best thing actually for people, if they get interested, is to sign up what I learned on my website. And then they get automatically informed with everything that I am offering, which is not that much, as you can see. But who knows, it might get more.
Right.
or maybe I'm out of the podcast that somebody will come and say, Nisarg, I'm ready to whatever, what do you need? I'm ready to put you on.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I hope so.
Let's see if we can work something out. Anyway, thank you so much also for your patience and your openness. And I feel your love. Yeah. I feel your love. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Human Design Collective podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please review us and share. You can find us at humandesigncollective.com and explore our course and workshop offerings at courses.humandesigncollective.com. Music for the Human Design Collective podcast is courtesy of Meg Ruby and Anders Parker. For more information, see the show notes. And please stay tuned for upcoming episodes on the same channel.